Hello and welcome to Rediscovering Childhood, a podcast that brings you lots of practical information to help you become a more conscious parent. This podcast is brought to you by Discovery Playtime, an Irish business that provides high-quality educational and sensory toys to help your children develop skills through play. Visit discoveryplaytime.ie or download the app to get inspired. Hello, welcome to a new episode. We welcome back our super amazing Jayne Sherlock. Hello, how are you?
I'm delighted to be back again. This is amazing. I can't believe I think it's nearly a year since
I was
here. And
yeah,
what year it's been.
Early stages, yeah.
Yes. So
amazing.
I'm so happy to be back. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem at all. And I know you're going to provide so much amazing information to all of our listeners because you work now in a family resource centre.
Yes.
And we don't have just one family resource centre in Ireland. We have
121.
Wow, and they're all spread across the whole country.
Absolutely. So all spread across the country, and they are just hidden gems within communities throughout Ireland. They really, really are. I suppose nowadays there's so much emphasis on trying to access primary care, and whilst that definitely is a need, there are also so many amazing supports for within the community that are accessible for everybody who lives in the area to be able to avail of. So yeah, it's fantastic. There's so many amazing supports.
And what can we find in a family resource centre? What type of support?
So it really depends. And what I love about the FRCs is that it's individual to the area because it's all based on the needs of that community. So it's very much so community development would be a big part of the work that we do, and it's based on what the parents or families within the area are coming with as challenges maybe, and from that then we can build. So there's a lot of kind of general ones that would be applicable to all family resource centres, but there would still be supports and services that would be quite unique to each community. So I'd always encourage parents to engage with their local FRC, or the other side of it would be the ABC programmes that are also running throughout the country as well. So generally they would be, the earliest intervention would be the baby infant massage. It's a lovely 5-week programme for babies from birth right up until they're crawling.
What's the benefit of baby massage?
It's just the connection.
Okay.
The connection between the parents. It's such a pleasure to be witness to that time that they have. And for some parents it can be, well, we don't get the time together. We've 3 other kids and they're in school, and sure, when they get home from school there's washing and cooking and life and everything is crazy. So to even just have that space to come and have that dedicated time one-on-one with your baby, and it really can be really, really beneficial for the baby's well-being. It can encourage good sleep patterns. It can be really, really effective sometimes for digestive issues that baby have, and it's all based on the movements and the touch between the parent and the caregiver and their baby. And the other side of it is as well, I suppose, it's a nice space for parents to connect. So obviously even myself, and I'm sure you'd agree, maybe being a parent yourself, it can be quite isolating at times, especially if you're first time mammy. So it can be a really, really nice way for parents to meet who are going through similar journeys maybe, or maybe not, and that could be the power of that as well, that they can support each other and guide each other. So we'd have the baby massage, so that would be one definitely. Then we'd also have the parent-toddler group. So I do the parent-toddler group and I absolutely love it. And the majority of FRCs would have a toddler group, or if not, I know there's a lot of communities that might not have an FRC, but they do have a community space where the toddler groups are. And again, it's just a really, really nice space for parents to connect, but also have that time away from day-to-day life, away from the busy house, that they can just sit and be with their children and just play. There's no technology. It's all around toys. Sometimes it's not even toys like that. It could be Play-Doh, or we're doing a bit of baking today, or we're doing gardening today, or whatever the interests are of the group, I suppose. And it can be a really, really nice way of just tuning in and connecting with your child in that space. And then how
important is that connection in the early years?
It's everything.
For the development of the children and the attachment in the impact in them growing up.
Yeah, it's the foundation for future life. It really, really is. And my passion definitely will be the early years and how important those formative years are. And like that, it sets the blueprint for life. So these, not to be too science or anything, but I do find it interesting. And sometimes when you explain to parents, they might say, oh, I never actually understood it, so now that I do, it makes sense. So sometimes it could be when the baby is born and up until they're 5-6 years of age, during that crucial area of child development, their neurological connections within the brain are only been developed. So the brain is not fully formed, and it does the most growth throughout those formative years. And really, I suppose the connection that the parents have with the children lays those foundations, and it marks nearly as a muscle memory within that child's nervous system, the sense of connection, the sense of attachment, the sense of the parent being there for them. And it's everything. It's paramount to everything, because having that secure attachment, having that safe space with your parent really means then that they're best equipped to go out into the world. And sometimes toddler group can be the first time that they're mixing or socialising with anyone out of the house. And I always say to parents, as much as you, I'm sure, would love to sit on the floor and play with them 24 hours a day and be with them all the time, life, that's not practical. So the importance of having sometimes even 5 minutes throughout the day, and I know we spoke the last time about how to implement that into your daily activities rather than it needing to be an extra chore, because it's busy, and especially when you have kiddies. But it's a lovely time to be able to, for the children to socialise with other children as well, because as much as the parents are playing and spending time with their child, it's really important that they have time to be sociable. We're humans, we're sociable creatures, and a lot of the time it can be really, really interesting that they learn so much from the other children. So the simple one would be like, we have a lovely collaboration going at the minute with Sláinte Care Healthy Communities, and there was a lot of discussion within the toddler group around fussy eating and not knowing what the different kind of benefits of what type of foods and food portions. So like that, now we have healthy foods for all of the children when they come to toddler group, and it's been fascinating to see the amount of parents are like, he's eating a banana, he is eating a banana, and it's like, yeah, because he saw his pal eating a banana, and she's like, if I gave him that at home, he wouldn't eat. So it's all those small little snippets of things that can happen within the wider community as the child is socially exposed to other families and to other cultures maybe that exist as well. So it can be really, really positive and encouraging for the parents. And sometimes like that, the parents, we did a before we extend to messy play sessions. I love messy play, I know you did too. Yeah. Tough tries galore, and the place was like picture perfect, and everyone came in and I was dying for the mess, like, come on, let's go. And the parents were nearly hesitant, saying, oh my God, no, like, don't move the sand from there, no, leave that there. And I was saying, it's okay. And you could see the parents as they actually saw it play out in front of them, and the exploration and the independence that the children had, and the fun that they were having from a bit of sand, a bit of water, a bit of Play-Doh. It's like, oh, I can do this at home, and it's not the end of the world. My house is not going to fall down, like, you know. So it's just empowering parents with simple play activities that they can implement then in the home environment whilst the child is having a really, really positive social experience as well.
Absolutely, yeah, that's amazing. And that's something I've learned from messy play. It really built my resilience, because I've really learned that it's okay if it's dirty. You know, it applies to my house, to everything that I do. It's not the end of the world. And I always say, so what? It's dirty, yes. So what? Yes. And if so what doesn't apply, means that's not okay. Yes. But if it does apply, like, you know, my child breaking something, so what? No, that's not okay. Yeah. But everything else, so what?
And I love what you said there. It's building our resilience as parents.
Absolutely,
so the learning and the education for parents, even sometimes subconsciously, that you're absorbing to. And there is, like, don't get me wrong, there's sometimes still now that I battle at home with, there's the box of Lego and he wants to string
100%.
And you're like, oh my God, it does. But it is.
It's setting those boundaries. And sometimes I'll say, that's not okay right now in this moment, because I'm about to lose my head, and it's not okay right now. Let's do that tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And it's okay to share those feelings as well, and for them to see that you have limits, you have boundaries as well, and you know, you have patience, you have, and if they reach the limit, you know, you need to be aware that it's coming and share with them. And I think it's really powerful.
Definitely, like that consistency for the child across the board. And I love what you said there about the parent modelling to a child, because sometimes as parents we feel that we need to protect our children from any negativity, and sometimes that can nearly be a hindrance more than anything, because I'd always say to parents, like, let them know if you're feeling a little bit sad, because they know. regardless if you use language to affirm it or not, they know. And it's really just building their emotional resilience, saying, no, do you know what, I'm not feeling too good today, but let's do something that is going to make me feel. And that then sets the tone for them to then, when they're having a bad day, that it's, oh my God, how do I deal with this emotion? It's like, oh, I know what mum has done or dad or primary caregiver has done. So it's just kind of really, really reiterating the connections that were formed in the early years and consistently doing that throughout the formative years.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Okay, so what else is available?
So I don't want to miss anything because there's so many, but another one, a lot of the FRCs are fantastic and having some of them are free of charge or some of them are low cost, and that's purely due to because they're so dependent on funding. And that could be the adult low cost counselling service and also then the play therapy. So there's obviously like that again, a lot of parents that might potentially be waiting to access any primary care intervention. So play therapies sometimes can be really, really beneficial for children. And that alone, I suppose, to have within the community can be really, really powerful. And it's not even just the intervention and the therapeutic support that the child is getting. It's the whole family is really benefiting from it, because there might be little tips and tricks that they've picked up through their play, or that the parent has gotten in discussion with the play therapist, then that is going to actually impact other children within the home. And it really just has that kind of wraparound effect on the house.
Yeah, that's really good. So that means the families, how do families apply for all these services?
Yeah, so they would just get in touch with your local FRC. If you were to look up FRC National Forum, there will be details of everyone that is across Ireland. They are dotted across Ireland, and there is 121 at present. I'm sure that's going to change soon enough, that they'll be possibly maybe looking to increase that, because it's a fantastic intervention to have. And I suppose it really is that piece around early intervention and prevention as well. So sometimes if families are to engage in the community supports that are there, that then sets the tone for them that they might not need to eventually then engage with the primary care services, because they've gotten the tools and the services that they needed at that time. So prevention, I suppose, definitely is a big part of it as well.
And where do you get the ideas to come up with all the activities and services and resources that you do?
Yeah, so it's you know what I think is fantastic about the FRCs is how individual they can be to the community. So I'll just share one example, because I think it's a beautiful example of community development. So we had a parent that would have came to the centre, and her child would be neurodivergent, diagnosis of autism, and there's no supports for the parents, or very limited supports for the parents. So from that then we were able to apply for funding to be able to nurture that space, because it's all the work that we do and all of the FRCs. Yes, there are kind of standard programs that would be in every FRC, but at the same time it's based on the needs within the community and identifying gaps of services as well. So the parent came in and was looking for a space of support. We were able to get some funds together to be able to host a parent support group. So every week now, since before Christmas, they're meeting once a week, and I think there's 16 maybe altogether. So they meet every week. I've never met such an amazing group of support, and they have a WhatsApp group as well. And just to see the support that they have for each other, there could be parents that are only starting on this journey, maybe starting to explore, okay, what is the assessment need, or there is something not right at home, what do I do now? And it can be overwhelming for parents, and especially like that if you go to Google. I know we say try not to Google things, but you can't help yourself. And it can be a minefield sometimes for parents, and there's nothing like that practical hands-on experience for a parent to say, that was me this time last year, this is where I'm at now. And then it sometimes will turn out then that parent has a new hurdle or a new challenge or obstacle that they're overcoming, and there might be someone else in the group then. So the peer support is absolutely massive. On the foot of that then, we were delighted to be able to do a sensory accommodating Easter egg hunt. So it was really lovely. We more or less had the centre closed and the children were able to come, and for the parents it was fantastic, because they were saying, well, I can't bring them to the neurotypical, I suppose, Easter egg hunts, or if we do, it depends on the child on the day as to how regulated they are or what the environment is going to be, and most of the time it could be unknown as to what they're going to, and that alone could nearly cause concern for families. So we had low level light and really nice music, a lot of sensory based play opportunities, arts and crafts, and then the Easter eggs were done on a much kind of quieter way, and the children absolutely loved it. The parents felt great that they had this space that they could bring their children and they could really engage in what was going on. And then there's a lovely bit then for the self-care with the parents, because sometimes the parents don't in general sometimes have time for self-care, but as much as we can kind of offer that space. So I definitely encourage anyone to link in, if not directly with their local FRC, to even contact SIPSI. They're a fantastic directory of children and youth services that are in the area across Ireland, and they could potentially put someone in touch with, because the power that is that peer support is absolutely fantastic. Another one that came up was in relation to phones and technology and internet safety. So on the foot of that then, now we have gotten into contact with Commission New Man, and they're coming out now to actually do a workshop. So it's really, really beneficial to engage within the community supports that are there, because like that, when you're bringing these things to the communities, they're in a situation then that they'll say, okay, there's actually seems to be a big demand for that, so what can we put in place? And it is all more often than not dependent on us applying for pockets of funding that would come up. So there's massive funding that goes into the primary care services, but there's also a good bit of funding then that goes into the community supports or community interventions as well. And sometimes people don't even know about them. They might think, oh, am I eligible for that? Everyone is eligible for it, absolutely. Yeah, and then there's as well then the amazing online, I suppose, for some parents. So like what you're doing is absolutely unbelievable, the parenting connection, and there's so many other amazing ones as well. And it's really just about just feeling that there's somewhere to go, you know, and escalating. It's rather than sitting with, God, I can't get access to primary care. Well, being proactive and looking at, okay, what other supports are there locally within the community? And if that's not accessible, then looking online and seeing what is there, because there's so much out there, and it's just to
That's something really common actually, and one of the biggest things, seeking for support. Where is that line of, am I making a big deal out of this, or should I just go out and get help and support? And I would say just go. If you're questioning that, just go, because if you're questioning it, it's over. It's, you know, it's over that limit of this is the normal, and I'm doing air quotations, but you know, the things that I can take every day and I would expect them to happen. But then if it's something else that makes me question, is that okay? Then just go and ask and look for help. And you're not on your own. You're never on your own. If you're on your own, it's because you want to be.
Absolutely. Like that's the big thing with everything that we do, and you're seeing all the time, is there's so many individuals that say, oh, I can't go because someone is going to judge me, or someone is going to think.
That's your ego talking.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally it's just so important to get these conversations going. And I know I mentioned briefly this morning, like that back in the 50s, there was a book, and it really did seem to
Don't read that book.
Do not. No, it's barred. Absolutely. But there was a book within the 50s that was how not to spoil a baby. And that really massively...
And look at us now.
I know, yeah. Mine too, screaming going into crash this morning, but they're good. No, but like that, it was really just looking at, I suppose, what not to do. But it wasn't based on any evidence of the time. And we've come on so much with research nowadays that we have the factual information and even the neuroscientific knowledge that we know the impact that has within the early years and how important that connection is for families. So really, I suppose sometimes that can be a generational thing that's what my mum did, so this is what I have, and everyone does it. Like whether you realise it or not, you do tend to bring in some sort of unconscious bias from your childhood and from your parenting. But having said that, things have moved so much since then, and there's so much more knowledge and education out there now for parents to be able to be more informed, because God knows if this was available back then instead of that silly book, maybe that would have been the norm. So it's just really kind of coming back from the culture that might have previously been.
Yeah, and all the circumstances have changed, and technology and the way, you know, kids play or don't play now, and so we have to, like, it was more like an organic way of developing and playing before, whether now we have to create it.
Yes.
So we have to. And, you know, when I do the training in schools, I get a lot of, well, we didn't have to play in the classroom before. But we used to play outside. Yeah. We don't now. Kids don't play outside. We have to switch roles.
Absolutely.
It's just what it is. We're here to support our children in whatever they need. So if they don't play outside, we'll have to create that inside. And change is good.
Oh, it's so good. And you're constantly adapting, because the nature of children is that they're adapting. So we as parents need to be empowered and confident within our abilities to adapt to their needs and absolutely play. I mean, it's so underestimated. It really is. And it's so funny. Sometimes it's the simplest of things, of a bit of Play-Doh or a couple of blocks on the floor and
a bit of water in the sink and put the tap on and wash a few cups, and it's as simple as that.
Exactly, yeah. And yeah, there's so much benefits from it, there really is. But again, it's just having those conversations in individuals, in the wider community, like nationally, to have those conversations of parenting support at some stage is beneficial to everybody, because they always say, oh God, you don't get a book when you become a mammy. Yeah, you can learn all about the antenatal bits and pieces when it comes to feeding and sleeping and bottles and all that kind of stuff. But the actual parenting itself, with knowledge and education around what is play, what's the benefits of play, what's the different stages of development, and how is play going to complement and promote that. So it's really just getting those conversations going, and that's where it can be a lovely support for the families. Yeah,
that's really good. So is that in every county?
Yeah, so exactly. So most counties would have, and again, if they don't have an FRC directly, that they would have a community hall, or maybe there's a community centre in which a lot of the programmes could potentially be run out of then as well.
What if someone wanted to set up their own community group, parent and toddler groups, or get in touch with their county council, or set up something like that? Would that be an option?
Absolutely. So the childcare committees are fantastic. They really, really are. They've done a lot of work recently in relation to childminding and the new regulations that are coming with the childminders. But then it's the same again for, okay, I'm living in an area, especially more rural areas, that we don't have a community centre, we might not have a community hall. Get in touch with the council or the childcare committee and bring forward your concerns that there's nothing within your area. And like that, then there's so many amazing support through the childcare committees for training and support. There's funding at times that can be applied for the toddler grants as well, so like that, to get you somewhat set up as well. And there's so many toddler groups that are volunteer led as well, from parents within the community who might have thought, actually no, we don't have a family resource centre, we don't have a community hall, so I'm going to do it. And there's been so many amazing parent toddler groups that have been set up on the foot of nothing within in the area.
Yeah, and we talk about a lot about the importance of attachment and play and connection. What happens when we don't have that?
Without that, I suppose it's really, really limiting the development of the child's brain from an early age. To be really blatant with it, it's just putting barriers in place. I suppose the child's brain is open to everything, and good or bad, for these imprints and these blueprints to be set. But without that, then the brain is going to develop anyway. So when they're out of the early years, then they may potentially have separation anxiety, they might have attachment issues, they might have low self-esteem, low independence, or wanting to be independent. There are a lot of what can be seen as challenging behaviours at times, it can be referred to as, and sometimes that purely can be because of a result of the lack of attachment and emotional well-being and support with their primary caregivers from the early age.
Yeah, and would technology affect that as well?
Yes.
The time spent with the devices instead of playing. As I always say, it's not about what you're obviously what you're watching or what you're doing with those devices, but it's not much about that. It's more about what you're missing out on while you're stuck to that device.
Absolutely. Like even the simple thing of going to a restaurant and having the phone, and the child could probably walk in on the phone and leave with the phone in the hand, and they've had no experience or exposure to that change of environment. And if that's happening on a consistent level, sometimes then the child can start to become anxious about leaving the home environment, or not want to go to some of these environments because they've never actually had that exposure from the young age. So like that, rather than making a game or bringing play into it in the restaurant, you can be as creative as you want, and the parents are the experts of their own child, that they know what their interest would be, that they're able to say, okay, this is what we'll do, or that's what we'll do. But there's so much that can be had, and there's so many beautiful teaching and learning moments, and moments for connection for parents and children to just engage within the environments that we're in without the screens. Absolutely. And sometimes it's even, and I'm conscious of it myself, and I have done myself in the past, and I'm trying to be a little bit better myself, that sometimes your life is busy and you're in the way, and you've gotten that important call or an important email that needs to come, and maybe without even realising it, your child is talking to you and you have the phone in your hand, and you might think, Jesus, yeah, that's 2 seconds, the phone is done. But that done on a consistent level is really saying to the child, and especially a child in those formative years, okay, you're not important right now, my phone is. And again, that can happen, but it's when it's done consistently, and that's when those neurological connections can be, I suppose, really, really formed to their best potential, you know. And it's not through, it's at times maybe the parents, it's something that they need to do. And as parents, yes, we're parents, but sometimes our logical thinking comes in the way and of things that we might need to plan or things that need to be done. But at the same time, it's just bringing it back to basics of that phone call can wait for 2 seconds. Do you know, I'll answer them back when the child's not in the room and they're not seeing me with this extension of my hand.
Yeah.
Do you know, and it's all about really, I suppose, modelling that to the children as well, to see, because it's all well and good saying you're not allowed your phone and you're on your phone too much.
What am I doing?
Exactly.
Yeah. So who funds, is that government funded, or who funds the Family Resource Centres?
Yeah, so they're government funded under TUSLA's Prevention and Partnership for Families and Family Support. So like that, they have two kind of streamlines of funding. So one of them would be the ABC programme, so the likes of the Childhood Development Initiative. There would be the ABC programmes, and then the others are the 121 FRCs. So we'd get core funding through TUSLA. And sometimes, I suppose, again, looking at maybe generational history or experiences that people might have had, sometimes they could think, okay, oh my God, I'm not going there to ask for support, because as soon as I tell them I lost it this morning at my child or whatever, and straight away they're going to take my kids off me. And that's not the case at all. Like, you know, it's really, really not. Absolutely, as is in schools, as is in earlier services. Of course, if there's ever a child protection or a child welfare concern, as mandated persons, we do need to report that. But that's absolutely not to say that they're going to come and take the kids away. In actual fact, if you're wherever, and I've never had to do it, and I think it's quite rare that it's done, report something that a parent might have said during a parent and support session. If you were having to bring that then further, the first thing TUSLA are going to ask is, where did this come out? And you're going to say, well, they were in looking for support. So straight away alone, you're trying to seek support. And I mean, there's so many fantastic services that TUSLA do offer in terms of family support. So there's the MEHAL process, which can be really, really beneficial for families, especially, and again, this is something that's eligible to everybody, that you could apply to have the Child Family Support Network coordinator, and they will coordinate a meeting of all the professionals, and it's the parents' meeting or the child's meeting. TUSLA are very much so with the involvement of the child if the child wants to be. So it can be really helpful for a parent who might have 3 children. The 3 children are all requiring additional support, and like that, there's meetings left, right and centre, there's constant phone calls, there's a million different professionals to try and engage with to be able to get the help that that the children would need. So with the MEHAL, it's great because you get to pick what professionals you want sat at that table. So when you come into the MEHAL meeting, and it is chaired by the senior Child Family Support Network coordinator, you're coming in, and everyone at that table then gets a job. So going home then, okay, I really want to get him into football, but I don't know how to go about that. So you could have the head of the GAA club sat in on that meeting, and they're going to work to support him getting a place in that. There could be another one then of, okay, I'm trying to get the assessment of needs done and I'm struggling with that at the minute. So there could be someone allocated to support with that. The list is endless. It really is. It's basically just meeting families where they're at and putting plans and support in place to kind of just lighten the load of the mental load that is trying to think of appointments and professionals and what services and supports. It puts everything in one place, and it kind of divvies out all of the jobs, so the parent doesn't have to do it all solely themselves. They have this support network around them, so that can be really, really beneficial then as well.
And is that the parent will contact their family resource centre and with the query, and then you'll see if that's the way to find a solution?
Absolutely. So there'd be definitely. So we'd always say like that, if there was anything at all that you felt, okay, is this something, is it not? You have to no harm in coming for a cup of tea and a chat, you know. And if it's something that we say, okay, you might not need an actual service for that, but how about we signpost you in the direction of future supports? If it's something that's not done within the FRC, it's something that could be done at a wider level or within the community or online. I'm always advocating for parents to like that, link in with the parenting connection and see what is there, because sometimes in busy lives it can be those simple little nuggets of information that parents want or that parents would need. Through the schools though, MEHAL protocol can be applied for as well. So I know a lot of the DESH schools would have the homeschool liaison officers. So they're nearly like the mediator between the school and the family, and to build on the extension of the home environment within the school environment. And they could put referrals in, or even if they don't have a homeschool liaison officer, the principal could put in, if it was something that you just feel overwhelmed as a parent, you've so much going on and you're like, where do I even start? And it could be a thing that TUSLA could come back and say, well, no, actually, you wouldn't really meet the need, I suppose, for, but however, here are all the other supports and services. And it's really just about asking the question to say, I need a little bit of support, where can I go from here? And that it's not a negative, that it's, oh my God, you're looking for parent support. It's like, well done you looking for parent support, let's go and support you. So, and if it's not through TUSLA directly, it will be offered in some other way then as well. The other one is the TUSLA Parenting 24/7 website, which is fantastic. So there's such lovely little nugget-sized informations there in relation to so many different things that parents would at times be questioning. And again, sometimes it could be a conversation of, well, mum told me, or my aunt told me, or someone that back in the day, this is what was done. And again, things have changed so much now and moving so quickly, especially technology these days. You think, oh God, all right, that's the newest thing of this. And it's like, oh my God, there's this as well. So it can be overwhelming. But the Parenting 24/7 website has lovely little nuggets of information in relation to like biting, slapping, hitting, those behaviours, sleep, eating, feeding, challenging behaviour, play as well. Like they're just really, and sometimes it can be the most simplest of things that a parent go, I actually never thought of that, because we're so overloaded with so much information that the beauty sometimes really is within those simple ideas.
Absolutely, yeah. And that social media plays a big role in this as well, seeing all these amazing things. And like, mine is not good enough.
Absolutely.
And it's just simple, it's always best. And as I said, we go to the workshops and things and have like a bucket of water and a boat floating in the middle, and then it's amazing how much kids actually learn from that. And teachers and parents are like, that's it?
Yeah.
Is that all it takes?
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, that's all it takes.
Yeah,
or they're like, but that toy is for babies when they're in 3rd class. I'm like, just watch. Just watch and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then they learn all the physics and which car is going to go faster. And it is a toy. It is a baby toy. Yes. But the things they come up with are absolutely incredible.
It is. It's fascinating. It really is. And like that, I suppose parents have been the experts of their own child, but the children are the best teachers at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
We're constantly learning from them. And like you said, it's so underestimated, the benefits of play. And sometimes like that, if you were never given that knowledge, how would you know it? You know, so that's sometimes then when you're seeking to go, actually, I need some more information on this. I did not realise that my child sitting there playing with the boat in the water is actually, like from STEM education perspective, even the amount of learning that's in that, or even from their physical skills development, their emotional well-being that's development. And it's nearly funny that the whole thing of the parent coming to collect the child from the crash, and it's like, oh, they played with blocks all day, and it's like, oh my God, the amount of areas of development that was done in that sole task is fantastic. It really, really is. And that consistent approach of play been an option for a child to have accessibility to play. And the simpler, the better, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose, again, we used to get all these input from playing outdoors, because we used to play outdoors all day and don't come back until it's dark. Now we don't.
Yes.
So we need to create, and because we need to create it, we need to know, why should we bother? Yeah. And why should we get, to go through the effort of letting them make a big mess. Like, so we need to inform. And I think that's these days now is very important to have more information available for parents for that reason. Yeah. Why should you bother in creating that safe space for your child to play and develop skills?
Yeah. It's just so important. It's just giving them that space, and the power alone of giving them that space and knowing that, okay, if it's me independently playing here, or if mum is going to be free for 5 minutes to sit, that I'm guaranteed those 5 minutes of being present. And I think that's so important, is being present in the play. And sometimes even for us as parents, it can be really a nice way to just connect with your inner child as well. And again,
we forget how important it is. At the end of the day, those, as you were saying, those emails, those calls, everything. And then you go to bed and feeling so guilty because you didn't play with your... What's that telling you?
Exactly.
And I know I'm there. Like, I'm not shaming or blaming or judging any more than I'm blaming myself for it. But, then they just make you realise that the real important things in life are those 5 minutes quality time with them, but I do this for you to bring money for you, and I do this to, so we can book that amazing holiday for you, and that's why I have to be busy getting more money, but that's not what they want.
Definitely. And like that, as you said, like the guilt, like would your guilt be if you've gotten that 5 minutes throughout the day? Do you find that your guilt is a lot less on those days?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, even like go to bed. What are you going to feel more guilty about? Not having answered that email or not having played with your kids at all?
Yeah.
Or go for a walk or, be there when they're doing their homework instead of being like, oh, it's fine. Just ask your teacher tomorrow. Yes. And I do that. Again, I'm not blaming anybody. I do that myself. So I'm really talking to myself right now.
No, and I'm the same. And that's
like,
the thing. It's sometimes, like even in work, to be parents, that, like sometimes going to seek support, especially as a parent, can be, you feel quite vulnerable, But the same thing is, and like you were saying there, it's never a thing that any facilitators or anyone who has a bit of professional knowledge and experience knows it all, because we absolutely don't.
No, and it's always easier said than done. You can 100%. Always give advice to others, and it's easier, and then okay, bye, good luck.
Yeah, exactly.
And then go home to a crazy house.
That's it, and that's the reality of it. Yeah, like that. Like I said this morning, I had to pull my 2 children off me to go into crèche. So, and like that, in that moment, exactly. So we all definitely can benefit from. Yeah,
but maybe that because you have the knowledge that will give you the, maybe tomorrow you'll do something. Or have a conversation with them tonight or something that will prepare them better for tomorrow, so you don't have to pull them out every single day. So that's how it makes a difference.
That's it. And I'm so grateful, and I'm sure you're the same, that I have that from my career. I've gotten that. But if I didn't have that, I'd have nothing at all. Now, not that it's my saving grace every time, but it's something that all parents should have, know. And like that, I suppose, engaging in the community level supports is getting those conversations going, and is building that knowledge and that capacity for parents to go, oh, I actually get it now. I understand why you do that. And I understand the impact that this has or that has, or whatever the case may be.
Exactly. Yeah. So, Jayne, I don't know if I asked you that last time, but it might have changed anyway. What is the most important thing you want your children to learn in life or to be?
Happiness definitely just springs to mind when I think of happy kids, happy life, definitely. Just for them to be happy. But I really, really think one thing I really would love my boys to have would be their own coping skills, their own mechanisms, because we have so much power within. And again, there's a lot of new research and there's a lot more supports nowadays in relation to like wellness and mindfulness. But it's so important, like even breath work. So with children saying, being exposed to knowing when mommy is happy, knowing when mommy is excited, knowing when mommy is surprised, like what we'd class as the positive emotions. But it's just as important for them to be exposed to the negative emotions that we feel as well, because that in turn then is just encouraging them to accept an emotion. It's something that's going on within the body. So I definitely think for them to have a little bit of their own kind of self-independence, to be kind of strong individuals. Going out the world can be a scary place, especially nowadays with online. It's a different world to what we would have grown up in. But I definitely think them having that solid connection, knowing that they have that safe space at home, and having their own skill set within them to be able to cope and to be resilient to challenges that life will present.
Yeah, I love that, because all emotions are telling us something and teaching us something. We cannot be angry or sad. We have to feel, and accepting that and being self-aware and having tools to make them better if we want. Sometimes we just want to be angry for a while, and that's okay.
Absolutely, that is okay. Yeah, 100%. Like, okay, you're not going to punch your sister, but punch the pillow and redirect.
These are the things we need to. Our children need to learn. Okay, you're angry. That's okay. But exactly, you're not punching your sister. You're punching the pillow. These are the things, but it's okay. Sometimes that happens to me, and I'm angry, and I had actually that conversation with someone once, and he was like, "You're very angry all the time." I'm like, "I know, but I'm enjoying it." Just let me be angry. I know I need a week of being angry because I need to get through something, and this anger is giving me the push to get through it.
Absolutely.
So I just need to be okay. I need to be here now. Don't worry, I'm not going to punch you.
You're safe.
You're safe. You're kind of safe. And just like recognizing these And I was putting the tools into place to be like, okay, now I'm out of here.
Yes.
And now I'm okay.
And there was no pressure to get through that period because you sat with the emotion. And that's something that sometimes, especially when it comes to anger or sadness, that we feel, I have to be okay. But no, it's okay to not be okay and to sit with an emotion. And
as long as you're consciously trying to, do something about it, not just like, I'm going to be angry forever.
Yes. You have a plan, that little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. I'm sad now, I'm angry now, I'm going to sit with it, I'm going to process the situation.
Exactly.
And then I'm going to pick myself back up and keep going. And absolutely. For the children to see that is so powerful. It really, really is. Like there's nothing bad that can come from speaking out and saying, these are actually the needs. Do you know, that kind of way? And the more that's said throughout the country, that then is building a database to be able to say, no, there is actually a significant need. So let's look at maybe putting more funding into certain areas or certain programs or certain supports because they're there and that use them.
And you're going to benefit by saying it. You're going to benefit many other people as well because you're never on your own. There's many other people going through the exact same, and by you saying that out loud, you can help them as well.
Exactly. Yeah, even on a smaller scale, to even just meet someone in the shop and give them that look of, oh, I see.
It makes a difference.
It does. It makes all the difference. And they're the things I think that need to be more nowadays, especially in the world that we live in nowadays. Those simple little things of non-judgment amongst parents and to know, I've been there, I've got this. What are the needs? Let's bring it forward and let's speak and use our voices. And if not for ourselves, because we're the voice of our child as well, and let's speak for them and say what is needed and to be able to link in and engage in. And
I actually find the most therapeutical conversations are the ones that start with, oh my God, I'm so stressed because of this. And then you end up laughing at it. You're just making fun of it. Yeah. And then I feel so good.
Yeah. You've offloaded and then you've had a bit of humour there as well.
And that's how it goes. So just having that conversation, talk to people, tell them about your challenges. And it'll really help.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jayne.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure you'll be back.
To chat to you. Hope so.
Thank you.
Thanks a mil.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you'd like to share your own story on our podcast, please get in touch through our social media. Don't forget to like, share and follow so you'll never miss out on upcoming episodes. See you next time!